Hello, 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 hello. Hi, everyone. Hi. Oh my God. So good to see you all of you individually. I love every single one of you. How are you doing? Are you ready for some poetry? That's what we love to hear at a nice, gentle spoken word night. Are you here for some queer poetry? Tonight will be very, very, very gay. It will be brilliant. It will be fantastic. And I'm really looking forward to all of our wonderful people, headliners and open micers alike. I am Alex. I'm your host this evening. Some ground rules. No hateful language except if it's towards the Tories. Keep things to 4 minutes. Sorry, Tories. Sorry. Keep things to 4 minutes. If you don't keep things to 4 minutes, I'll hit you with a stick. I'll find somewhere. And is there anything else I need to mention too? I'll just be lovely and kind to each other and clap each other and bring joy and celebration to this beautiful underground bunker that we're all sitting in tonight. So before we really kick things off, I'm going to hand over to the festival director of Homotopia, Shah Binns. Introducing Shah Binns to the stage. Say a few words.
Thank you, Alex. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this very special edition of A Lovely Word. This is the second day of Homotopia Festival. I'm already shattered. But if you've been on another planet and you don't know what Homotopia is, we are the UK's longest-running LGBTQIA arts and cultural festival, born and bred right here in Liverpool. We're very, very proud of that fact. And we are going to be running events across the city and online from now until the 20th of November. There should be some postcards on everybody's desk, and there's a QR code on there. We're very down with the kids. We know how to do technology. Have a look on there and you'll see what's going on. A lot of our events are free. Everything is, the highest price is £12. If you're stretched for cash at the moment, just have a word with us. We'll make sure you get in. Queer art is for everybody. Woo! Thank you, Becky. This is the third year that we've partnered with A Lovely Word, and it's fabulous to just keep doing this and to see it growing and growing. I'm a big fan of A Lovely Word, just genuinely, like I come pretty much every month, not just for the Homotopia specials. Every single month I say, I want to come and read a poem, and I don't even write poetry, so I don't know why. I just get inspired. I get inspired by you. So I'm not going to read a poem. I don't have one, but I'm so made up that so many of you are. So please enjoy the night, enjoy the festival, and Queer Joy is a protest.
It is a protest. We're tired of being angry. We want to have fun, and that is a protest too. I'm going to start with a little poem I wrote ages ago called Mess. It goes like this. I used to think that everyone started a mess, and then one day they were just better. Like a switch flicked on, creating the best person they could be, and I wish it would happen to me. I used to think that everyone started alone, and then one day someone came along, swooped you away, and then together you'd build that home. That was it. You just got on with it. I used to think that everyone started a mess, and then one day they were like, not a mess. Everything else would disappear. There'd be less bad, more good, and you'd say, oh, I'm a capable human. But I'm not a mess, but I'm not completely together. I'm not with someone, but yeah, I'm definitely not alone. I'll happily exaggerate my successes and moan about my woes, but if we don't all acknowledge we're all messes, we'll never make that home. Thank you. Just a little sacrificial poem there for me to start things off. Oh, Oh, we're being live streamed. Open micers, surprise! That is a surprise. I didn't tell you that. But you know what? You're gonna love it. It's the spotlight, baby. Yeah, there are loads of people watching you. Anyway, up first we have the wonderful, the beautiful, the glamorous Brendan Curtis. Full named ya.
Hello. I'm going to read quite quietly to try and evoke an atmosphere. And read off my phone. You can close your eyes if you like. I had to join a gym for undisclosed mental health reasons. So this is called Gymnasium. The purple stretch marks underneath his pits are new bodies breaking out in the strange place where we work to swell and stretch inflammation into an aesthetic. All day I dream of pale black backs and shoulder blades cutting out of vest arms. There is a woman, maybe 45, tan skin, stares at the wall, rides the hip abductor back and forth like a horse. So serious. And there is every day a niked scally yellow fingers manipulating an injury on his sartorius, stops to piss and smoke a fat one, curling hair climbing up the inner thighs, and then we work in time with the butch, with the thick brows. Yes, our biceps grimace with the extra effort. We all lift the same. Deltoids, trapezius, and I just love the way a throat jumps as it glugs down water, the way this boy can lift himself above himself. And I roll into the unwashed mat, downward dogging into the floor-to-ceiling mirror. So many short shorts, crop tops in the glass dumbbells of my eyes, lycra hugging buttocks with me and someone boldly avoiding each other's gaze, awkwardly disinfecting the pleather armrests with anti-backed wads of tissue. Why do we feel the need to treat each other like uncompelling ghosts? And nobody sees my body, nobody knows my name, and nobody is here because they love themselves. Sweating out that truth, the rower inside my groin burns, perspirating vested interests. This is meant to be a desexualized environment, but locker rooms hum quietly with bad memories, and sweat pools in our headphone cavities, and Ariana sings to no one, and the bros deadlift, breasts bursting open, crotches at eye level, though I'm not here to watch veins appear. And we work out our problems on stainless steel, and the bright lights, and all that energy, and the hours, and the runners thudding towards nothing, our body masses indexed, and all of us, just elaborate machines. Thank you. Oh, fucking hell, that's a bit too long though. Okay, well, I'm partly up here to read that. I'm partly to say three things that are happening. I don't know what the third one is, but the first one is on Sunday. There's a show called Queer Insight that you must go to at the Quarry. It's for around £5, something like that. There might be a soup, but there'll be lots of amazing queer poets, and it's in the Homotopia catalogue. The second thing is a show that I produced called Eat Me, and we have our sex edition on the 25th of November. The date's wrong on the flyer. And the third thing, I don't know, just support queer spaces like this and come to lots of things in Homotopia, and have a great night.
you, Brendan. And up next, we have Georgina. Round of applause for Georgina as they come to the stage.
This doesn't really have a title, so I just... the emotionally destitute crave fluctuation, splitting their time between the first 4 circles of hell. Old faces with Eden's first Eve and their ear infect their dreams. They could no longer make sense of their physical sensations and abstract notions of feelings that they read about but never really experienced organically, only performing them when the occasion called for it. They thought the desensitization process had run too deep when their eyes didn't prick and their throats didn't tighten anymore. The overexposure to so-called pleasure. They skipped the sex scenes on TV screens, a complete disconnect from their bodies now, full of empty tubes that used to carry pain and pleasure. Sorry, let me try and breathe. There's an interception at the first point of contact, clammy hands sticking to my silicone-infused skin or greedy eyes locking with my interspace, cornering my mind, preserving pieces that are unseen. Decades of identifying as voluntarily touch-deprived are washed away with sweaty hands, melding us together in a sticky mass. It was love at first bite, and despite your trade and unrelated to mine, we spent the first few weeks taking them out of paper bags. We sought a mundane and insipid life. It controls the rot that eats away at lusty persuasions. We became revelers in the desecration of our senses. Our previous landscapes were flattened by negligence, or maybe it was war, though both have been impossible to untwine for millennia. Doses of each other act as restoratives. For the exhumation of my appetites, I pushed my nose into sweet-scented sheets to breathe in what was left of you. Reinstalled feelings lock their limbs tightly around my chest like a vice. They do not like it when we are apart. I'm ashamed at how easily the floodgates opened, insecure about these tears, confused about the sensations caused by an unknown breeze dancing between the hairs on my scalp, and afraid of feelings I thought I knew well. I observed a subtle shift in tone as I involuntarily sat in the space between thoughts and words. There was nothing else to do but induce emotional reaction by way of a crescendo, unheard before, sonic wave shock cracking my protective exterior, leaving bits of shell clinging to new skin peeled off by the swords of sympathetic hands. With wet eyes, I'm laid to rest, entranced by euphonious words from familiar voices. The contentment blunts the external forces that are usually a strain on my senses. The blisters on my palms had barely healed before you managed to get soil beneath your fingernails from digging up what I thought doomed to be left buried. You had me questioning my already shaky perception of what is and what isn't, but reimaginings of reality fracture. I provided warnings you hadn't seen up close, yet you reassured me you saw me well, when I didn't know anyone was looking, deep in thought or deep-bellied laughter. And I liked the sentiment and intended romance, so I neglected to admit that moments like these were staged in the hope that you were watching. Who will you file your complaint with after your attempt at calling curtains on this performance of intimacy reveals strings attached to the MC and entertainer? I thumbed Adam's apple and considered desire's ability to manifest in the strangest of places, between mounds of hair, flesh, and muscle seemingly unremarkable. I ritualized our mornings by holding your face between my palms so that your eyes were level with mine, taking them in long enough to produce an after-image I could keep in your absence, just in case. Words fluttered on your lips as you continue your sentiment to the very last moment. The weight of your being pulls me to your center, away from our systems, permitting me to shrink, fortified against inner voices that don't need to take breaths between screams. Balmy and softened and tenderized. I count down the days until my body decays and the gases released find their way into your pores, making me part of you again. Sorry, it sounded like I was going to cry, but I went. I'm just nervous.
Thank you so much for sharing us, Georgina. Up next, we have Mo. Where is Mo? There he comes to the stage. Cool.
I'm going to teach you Trans History 101 in 4 minutes as fast as I can. All the fun stuff, I promise. No. So this is brought on by anybody who knows Sunak has decided to gut us from the Equality Act. So that's fun. I don't know how many people know this, but it's true that there was a library devoted to gender and sexual understanding in Weimar Republic. During this time, trans people existed. But then the rise of a certain famous mustachioed man burned down the library, and in it labeled those of us with pink triangles and black, where we were marched in to be put to death at work camps and gas chambers, or experimented on in asylums. This was not the only time that history decided to erase us, because we also existed in indigenous cultures across North America, where the government decided to put them in residential schools with cemeteries next to them in case the students died. Tried to deny these people anything but worship of a god that repressed them, cut their braids, and said they could not wear their clothes. Across Africa, from Nigeria to the African South, there were husband wives, women who took on the role of men and were treated such as, allowed to marry other women too. All the way through, this was something that people thought of as normal until the missionaries came. Hijra existed in India until the India Company came. Heck, they even existed in Victorian England. They existed buried in Viking clothes. You know, there are 5 genders in the Quran and the Torah. There are at least 7 genders in Thailand alone. I know, because I did the research. But all you see are the quotes of rapid onset gender dysphoria, which does not exist. It's just that people are terrified to talk to you, which makes sense considering you think that the rapid onset gender dysphoria exists. So shit, I wouldn't want to talk to you either if I was your kid. I wonder how many times you blunder over the fact that we sometimes are higher represented in prison statistics. The problem is that we aren't hired for shit. One look at us and we don't fit. So of course we're going to peddle our flesh on the side of the street where we get beat by cops. It has even led to the term walking while trans in New York City, where if you are a trans woman, especially a person of color, they assume you're selling yourself. Well, don't make fetishes out of us. But it doesn't matter. We can be put to death in so many places, and you can say that we don't deserve asylum or refuge. You don't even think that people who are being bombed deserve that. You say that I'm a threat, and you quote some person who wrote a book for kids. JK, a joke that won't end. Her name, Robert Galbraith, a pen name, named after Robert Galbraith Heath, who invented conversion therapy. Literally, the conversion therapy that killed Charles Babbage, caused him to commit suicide. And you tell me that you are fighting for my rights? Did you know that I have a higher rate of UTIs? Because I am terrified to take a piss in a public toilet lest I get beat. Do you want to know who does get beat, though? Elderly women. Women who have had cancer. Butch women, women who have had shaved heads because they donated those to wigs for people with alopecia, cancer, or God only knows what other reason. Women with broad shoulders. Women whose noses aren't quite feminine enough. Maybe they're Greek, maybe they're Jewish, maybe they're just somebody that you see as somebody deserving of this sentence. You create an app to try and deny us, but we get in when a number of women who are of different races don't. Because as we all know, policing gender goes hand in hand with European beauty-centered beliefs. I see so many reasons why I should deny you the right to even talk to me, to tell you to put my name in your mouth and get the slurs out. But I see instead, you've said again a quote of how trans women are destroying athletics now. Well, how about this? Trans men are more likely to win against their cis counterparts, and trans women have no discernible victory more so than another. But of course, anybody else could see that you could follow the science easily. After 2 years, these changes don't really matter. But you would rather believe in misogyny than me. I'm tired. I'm tired of trying to teach you history. I'm tired of trying to teach you so many things in such a short amount of time to try and give you a reason why you shouldn't deny me. You say, oh, but don't you know? There are people who could walk into the bathroom at any moment. Honey, a man can walk into the bathroom at any moment. He doesn't need a dress. He can do it with teeth at the sole of his feet, under his boots, and clumps of hair in his hand, and blood on his teeth because he is happy to beat anybody around him. He will wear you like a belt. He will put you through hell, and it will not be because of me. It will be because he is a monstrosity. He will do this to you, to me, and when I try to get support at some sort of service, they will say, we haven't really decided on what to do with the trans issue. I say, you serve men, you serve women, you can serve me. They say, well, not exactly. I'm tired of telling you my history, that I have existed since gender did. I have existed since the time immemorial, that at one point I was considered a magic view. But to you, I am a disease. To you, I am just another book to be burnt, another cross to be put on. I'm tired. I'm tired of teaching Trans History 101 time and time again to first name bunch of numbers on Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, and God only knows how many other social media accounts. I can't block you all now. I can see you making your comments at the bottom of news articles. I can see you getting your letters. I can see you with no understanding of history whatsoever.
Thank you, Mo. That was so powerful. And up next, we have Casimira. Keep the applause going for a lovely word regular, Casimira.
Here's a poem I wrote on an aeroplane the other week. It's called The Trans Woman Hug. Computer show, Helsinki. I'm here with work, but you spy my skirt. Scuttle over to me and say, I've been watching you all day. And your eyes are fixing and twitching into a 1,000-mile stare that leaves me feeling bare. And you vomit words here and you vomit words there. And the crowd parts, putting us on display. I am like you are like me, you say. You can't affect to say it direct, I sigh. Am I that easy to detect? You are transgender, I declare, crashing your internal software and leaving your eyes wrecked. You present your phone with pictures proof. I see you smiling in a skirt that swells, a mini dress and pouncing as a cat girl. Look, look, look. It's true, it's true. It's okay, I say. I believe you. I ask, so where are you from, Sergey or Sarah? And your lips quiver. Occupied Ukraine. And your face explains that you can never go home again. At this point, my bones are willing me to race away from you and the computer show, but I won't because I know you wouldn't be here if you had somewhere else to go to. So I stay, think, fuck me, embrace. 'Cause see, I've been here too many times before with trans women birthed, crushed by the earth, rock bottom on the floor, not with glory or joy, no, not at first. Your life story, I've already guessed. And over the night and day, it's all confessed. Vacant mummy, check, long dead. Dickhead daddy, check. He looked down on you, but you up to him. And now he targets missiles for Putin. Lonely, double check. The only friend that you hold dear is a long-distance Russian queer who hides in the closet from an army, intent to send them to die in your home country. Then suddenly, your boss wanders over wearing a smug grin. Oh, Sergey, did you finally lose your virginity? And an excellent choice. I roll my eyes. And then it's time to say goodbye. Before apart, we must fly. So I give you the hug that I received way back when. You were me, and I was a random encounter, Irish gypsy. The trans women hug. Tighter, I plea, like you're trying to merge into me. And then I'm gone. But before I sleep, I scream at the stars and dig my thumbnail so deep into my arm that it weeps. Good luck, Sarah. Be kind to yourself. And I hope the world gives you flowers someday.
Thank you, Casimira. And up next, we have Melanie. Where's Melanie? Melanie? Ooh. Yep. No, I said it quietly. Melanie! Keep the applause going. It's a long way, all the way down the runway. There we are.
Sorry, I was in a little word of my own there. I I obviously can't count. I'm going to try and do this one from memory, so wish me luck. Let me throw my phone down. And this one is called Babylon, a Bun, Hellfire. Okay, let me just get in the zone. Dystopian destinies are run a madness, magnified. Dash in a little heightened hypocrisy, we get Babylon, a bun. And we wonder, Lord God, do you exist or am I just dead? Babylon, a bun, hell, fire. There's wars running in our heads, tempting us to cut the cord, and the east to run from a dictator whose only pleasure is death. Babylon, a bun, make me wonder why the beast man stop and search them black youths. They didn't get the memo, it's hoodies or summer. Forget it. Prolific profiling will do. Babylon, a bun that we turn on our own. Ingrained patriarchy enslaves the mind and capitalizes, even though we've all been victimized. Some uphold the master's acid tongue, quick to throw that first stone, because they ain't feeling them G's. Adam and Steve, them queers, Eve's the one. Thanks to the West for bringing your heteronormative views on Christianity to gracefully save many a wretch like me. Man, where would we be? Conversion therapy, and I'd ask the T. Babylon, bun, BLM. Black lives, marginalized. They shout for all unless you're trans. Marsha P, oh, excuse my P's and Q's. She, they, them don't matter to some. Babylon, bun to Rockstone. And I ain't got time for them fufu Karens who've always got something to say. Any ever heard of chat shit get banged? And I ain't condoning violence, but would you stand up and slappy to defend your black wife? There's more people enraged by that than the mass shootings of blacks. Babylon, bun, because the world wants any Brendas to stop confusing their kids. Say God. We're all created as one. You can try and build walls around sexuality, but bubble wrap them kids up in the illusion of waiting for their prince, a stranger, ready to pounce, to resurge a life with just one kiss. Man, we've been brought up so well. There's a spike decline in our learning. This world is dread. Babylon, a bun, blouse and skirt. And I'm throwing in little colloquialisms to see if Jar himself is listening. What happened? It's not how you imagine. Peace and love is replaced with pick-me's and loathing. We fear it all. Babylon, you are bun bad. You've got our cards marked. Worker bee mentality institutionalize our brains, and there's definitely no grey area when it comes to race, relationship, religion, or rights. unless you're a cishet male, preferably middle tier, white, upper class. This Babylon definitely loves you. So be sure to keep it burning bright, while it's others try and locate our rights. Rotted. Thank you.
Thank you, Melanie. And up next, we have Jonty. Who has a point for Jonty? Oh, hello.
Howdy. This is my first time performing here. I haven't performed for a very long time. I'm going to do two ones. The first one's before I realized I was non-binary, so kind of a different tone, but yeah. This is called The Weightless Dance. The walls were beige, no matter where I was, and every time they made me think of you. How we danced, spinning through the air like feathers falling softly to the earth. Now my room is dark, my thoughts darker, so I turn to the light of the screen. Maybe I can write to rid the dance in me. It's not a waltz or a jig, it's barely a shuffle. It demands my head is down with my hood up. My heart plays the music, but it's all percussive. There's no accompaniment, it's just fucking noise. I stare at the screen. I want to say so much, but the dance is deafening. It weaves and it stumbles and it never touches the ground. I sicken me. When the page is this bloody, how dare I hold my wrist to it? It's just, I left my heart in those walls, and my room hasn't been beige for a long, long time. And how my heart thuds in my ears as I think of the chair. For a weightless dance, what could be a more fitting end than a weightless step? And then I think of you. What would you say now of my dance in freefall? Even now, so long on, I know you tell me this. Air is no place for it to die. So the feather falls, and one day it may land. Until then, I'll cling to the ground like it's life. Thank you. This one is from after I realized I was non-binary, and it's called Untitled Gender Poem, because, you know. Like a lump visible under blankets, it takes a touch to know if it's alive or dead. Who that touch comes from means a great deal. From a friend, it can be heartwarming. A stranger, it's as likely to be flattering as it is terrifying. Most often, though, it comes from myself. It's a tender caress when I pull on tights, a raking of the nails when I see myself unshaven, a constant tapping against the side of my skull when I think about men. And now, God, do I just want to get away from that? Away from me, myself. If I keep tapping, will I break through my skull and find irrefutable evidence that, yes, this man was found dead and was in fact a man, and will I be happy then? Or will I let my tapping finger keep going, squish against my brain until it rots? Oh, hello, sleepyhead. Sorry if I woke you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And we have our final poet of the first half. We have B. Oh, there's two B's. This is B with two E's, not you. You. Yes, that's you. I just realized I said it. Keep the applause going.
Has everyone been amazing tonight? Really, really powerful stuff. Anyway, here's some nonsense that I wrote on the train today. So good luck, everybody. Okay, I was asking my friend for prompts for poems tonight, and they sent me just a list of scented candle names that were on their desk. And they said after that, "Is that anything?" And I decided to make a poem called, "Is That Anything?" Let me just turn the brightness up on my phone. Okay. My brain feels like it's wearing an overly tight shower cap, like it's trying to protect itself, but in doing so, it makes itself too tight to function. Is that anything? Society is held together with jam and string. There's sweetness in there, but it's messy, and pull a bit too hard, and it falls apart. And also, you'll get covered in red stuff if you're too violent. Is that anything? My gender is like a character creator at the start of a video game. So many choices. I love too many of them. but I'm in a rush to play, so I'll probably just be the default character. Is any of this anything? Yes. Yes, it is something. It is a series of bad metaphors and similes that I just subjected an actual audience to. You're welcome, everyman. I didn't time this at all. How many minutes do I have left? Oh no, heavens. Okay, I'm gonna read it. Okay. Let's see if I can get through this nonsense that's not even a poem. This is called Hingy, or an unhinged poem about my favourite Doctor Who character. Oh, why am I reading this one? Okay. I'd like to tell you all about my favourite Doctor Who character. You've probably all heard of K9, the robot dog, but I'd like to enlighten you as to the stories of Hingy, the robot door hinge. Hingy is a door hinge who's alive, with little pipe cleaner legs and arms, and an R2-D2-esque squeak whistle language. They're small and bouncy, and often found perched on the Doctor's shoulder, ready to leap into action. But what action could they possibly be equipped for? I hear you cry. Why would anyone invent a robot door hinge? I hear you query. Well, here's the answer to your indignant query. There's a bit where they're running from a monster. I know, shocking. And they reach a dead end, a brick wall, nowhere to turn except back towards the impending snarling jaws of the alien menace. But suddenly, Hingy hops off of the Doctor's shoulder, attaches themselves to the wall, releases two small drills, one from his head and one from their bum. Don't laugh. This is the good bit. The small, almost microscopic drills drill the outline of a door into the wall. Hingy then hinges the door open for the Doctor and their companions to walk through, and hinges the door shut again. And to top it all off, the little drills leave a trail of sealant as they travel back to Hingy, and Hingy pops up back onto the Doctor's shoulder with the wall all sealed up, and back to being just a wall again. Now, maybe Hingy isn't perfect. Maybe the writer could have done more with them. But I love them. I love how cute they are. I love their door creation powers. And I love that they use they, them pronouns. All I need to do now is get a job writing Doctor Who so I can make my favourite Doctor Who character an actual Doctor Who character. Who's with me? Oh. Why do I read that? Thank you.
Thank you, everybody, in our first half. We will now take a short break, and then we will resume. In the second half, we'll be hosted by the lovely Becky, who's my co-host for this evening. Woo! And we will have our headliner, who you'll be hearing way more about in the second half. Just a little one from me as well. There is a show on upstairs, and it's full of wonderful people, and the show itself is wonderful. If you want a ticket for tomorrow night, I'm aware that there are some tickets going. Just talk to me, and I can sort you out. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I was really hoping that that would work because it would have been really awkward if no one clapped. Hi, my name's Becky. This is the second half of A Lovely Word, which Alex has very kindly and probably very tactically asked me to host. I see you there with your pint, and I know what's happened. Yeah, well done to everybody. First half, absolutely smashed it. Just a note to say, we've actually got loads of people who haven't ever performed tonight. I know, it's just amazing. So thank you so much for being brave with us and being amazing and just being your wonderful selves. So in a minute, I'm going to introduce you to our incredible headliner, Peter Scalpello. Sorry, Scalpello. Shouting into the mic. So sorry, Peter. And they are absolutely brilliant, and I can't wait for you to hear their work. Just as a little warm-up act, I'm going to read you this little poem that I wrote the other day. Before I start, would anybody know what I meant if I said I'm going to keep Dixie? No? Okay, got some, yeah. Keep Dixie. If you don't know what it means you got to keep lookout, you got to keep watch. Okay, so keep Dixie, got to keep watch. Right. When we buried my granddad's ashes in Springwood Chemo, I kept Dixie. It wasn't that I knew what we were doing was wrong, just that it was probably a bit dodgy. Like chewing Chewy at the back of a classroom. Keep on the lookout, my dad's voice strained with the pull of each shovel on his bad back. Mum had a better technique. Weighs in 2 times as much soil, bends at the knees, seasons somehow. Slow down, he says, but it's her dad we're burying. I ask if I can help, they say, keep Dixie, so I do. Back up like a hedgehog on the road, prickly and soft-footed, feeling important, afraid to be slow. Soil burrows at the crease of my lifeline, and I wonder whether we'll see each other again, and whose job it is to clean up roadkill. Nearly there, Beck, good girl, and I cringe. They've hit the coffin now, where Big Nan is, or so I imagine. I keep Dixie. A black cat wanders across a grave, and I meet its eyes thinking it could be a spy, waiting to out us to the high-vis guys as the sky turns its back on us and my yellow Mac collects droplets and sticks out like a sore thumb in a sea of crows mourning, the big vast tummy rumbling. And for a minute I wonder if they know that they're together now and whereabouts together is. I learned a word, mycelium. I wonder if the bodies talk to one another underground. My chipped tooth digs holes in my bottom lip like a phantom hand, bleeds metal into spit, and I think about what we're made of, because when we're dead, we all dry out, like a discarded pumpkin with a crooked smile, replanted. The chemo gets dark, and as I shiver in the rain, I think about how this could be the start of every horror movie I've ever seen before I was ready, and all the vampires that hang out here when Buffy's on, or that bit in Dracula where Lucy's dead but isn't, is a self but isn't. I feel inside my pocket for a steak. Try to remember if I've eaten garlic as I kiss the little box my granddad hides inside and say goodbye before turning back into the dark to keep Dixie in a bright yellow Mac. Thank you. Okay. Just a quick one as well. Sorry, I think that was a bit more depressing than I intended it to be. I thought it was going to be funnier. But tonight is about queer joy. You know when you think something's really funny that's happened to you and then you're like, oh no, actually it's probably a bit dark. So yeah, sorry about that. Queer joy is a protest. It's amazing to be queer. It's a beautiful thing. And it's amazing to see all of you here tonight and holding each other in this community. So thank you for coming out here. One of the most brilliant queer modern writers that's coming out at the moment. I'm going to tell you about them now. If I can read me script, sorry. The headliner, Peter Scalpello, for this edition of A Lovely Word. That's who it is. Sorry, I read it the wrong way around because I'm a bit dyslexic. Peter Scalpello. I'm so sorry, Peter. I'm so sorry. Peter's amazing. A queer poet and therapist from Glasgow. Their work has appeared in 5 Dials, Granta, the London Magazine, and the New York Times. Among other publications. Their first collection, Limbic, which I believe is here tonight as well. Have you got any copies with you? One special copy up for grabs. But maybe not up for grabs, but you can get it on the website. We're all in 2022, so do you know what I mean? Go online. Their first collection, Limbic, was published by Cipher Press this year, and they have graced us with their beautiful presence tonight. Please welcome to the stage, Peter! Keep it going!
Thank you, Becky. Thank you so much for having me. My name is Peter. And yeah, I published my first collection of poetry this year. It's called Limbic. And I'm going to read a few poems from it and then a new kind of longer poem as well. There's elements of queer joy, but also, yeah, I could have thought more, I think, about the joy aspect. But, you know, it's all subjective, so we'll hopefully find some in there. The collection kind of journeys a bit through queer desire and discovery from adolescence through to a kind of more contemporary experience that I've had with my own gender, and through healing of past wounds. And there is joy in there. There is joy in there. But I'm going to share a bit of both of you, I think. I'm going to start with the last poem, actually, in the collection. It's called Be Your Own. Your one seeing eye rises and sets, facing away from the mush of my 20s. A decade's worth of pills disintegrates into white particles in my blood and bile all at once. Like the weight of us remade of dust and gradually blown away at rates depending on the wind. We are not our desire, but the places we move through to satisfy it. For me, it's meant carving myself into being enough for the desires of another and you. That conflict of masculinity, itself a conflict of masculinity and femininity, elsewhere entities grabbing at the breath we leave behind. You're there as I draw out a new life, nib to nib, two spirals closing inwards like our shared prognosis. Push and give of indefinite time, the ignorance to resent what we would eventually turn into. If our fragments settle along the breeze, maybe we'd be patched back together. Till then, I can be my own daddy. Thank you. This next poem is called Ode to Tracksuit. My hungered polyester thighs show you no mercy, if you can even fathom my shape through all this rustle. What happened to your Levi's, dude? Remember when we used to sport these bottoms as a uniform, as armor against ridicule? We grew out of this, didn't we? Remember when we donned matching shell suits and drank cider from 3-liter containers that served us almost everything we needed to be able to swallow our retractions and get with the girls by the river, between dregs forming fag holes. I know you remember when we ruined our friendship by circling the inside of each other's cheeks with underdeveloped tongues. The rub of that nothing fabric was like touching skin, and my crotch in activewear could keep nothing secret. Now you jog up to me in Dalston with the same leaden legs that fled from teenage shame, panting for what I guess is reclamation or subversion or both things, but in the form of an easily removable manliness. Remember when we donned matching shell suits and were happy to be invisible? Take off your trackies and show me what hasn't changed underneath. Thank you. So this next one is new. It's from a long poem that I'm writing. It's taking forever, but this is the first part of it. It's called Mirror Stage. I found myself craving narrative. I take my shame for a walk. My shame and I get on a bus. Parallel frauds puff thought into the conditional day, stoned on its light. They can't help but. Light gives the iris its truest color. They, as in plural, my shame and its shelter, though both themselves are multiple. They, as in the nameless I, a glint in silver parentheses, or out with. My shame and I in transit receive aroused messages from a silhouette. You have the body part I love, so I love you. To expose your fantasies without a face, then, is to be anonymous. What of the internet is physical, has an appetite? I angle to read the screen in shadow of myself. The heart, like the world, whispers on. After not long, shame is asleep across from me. The weather changes and sheep in the field behind stand back up, unable to tell who started it. We move towards and away from the land on which humans needn't interfere, wrapping tire tracks and blood drops round the earth like string. Biological anger and the quiet violence of passivity intersect, and meanwhile, truly, I am so unappreciative of balance. We pass alongside a town where the buildings are covered in tarpaulin. There may have been a flood. When I started giving in to my desire, my life was washed too. Have the fish here abstained from dance? It all rushes back to the blackened eye. Through the window, I take a photograph of what isn't mine. The image saves. A catalogue of my flesh exists in a chip among cylindrical servers on the seabed. Isn't it awful to be observed? In photos, I can see my feminine peeking through like a possibility. To have gender is hard. To not have gender, also hard. Today, I can't decide which I prefer. For this, the word perhaps is trans. At what point does a person choose to abandon their life? 12:04 is morning, 3:08 morning. I feel one become another, as simply as somewhere else can be felt as nowhere. Recently, I lay in bed for days with alcohol poisoning, losing muscle, softening my maleness through sickness. A conversation with my immunity. I hear you. I'll try harder to be real. The fictions we tell ourselves, my addiction to identity. Back to the vehicle. Shame individualized, I, the glowing interior shape of self, the journey we're on towards an interesting resolution, minus testosterone. If memory is distance, how many miles are left until the truth of my own experience? Over the border, and tones become cooler, waking up from a vivid dream to a new, separate consciousness. Everything the same, but slightly different colors. A sign at this point reads www.fuckthepeople.gov.uk. There is no person without a world, so to whom do signs apply? What does mirror mean? It means mirror. Shame wakes too beside me, always after. A sizzle of past threat, presently felt, externalizing all that's traversed, as I'm persistently alive and in transit. The memory gazes at, but shame has no gaze, just a voice, saying, it's me, a man, a teenager, a boy, a cell on the cusp of all you have ever done. And thus, the entire universe is perceived solely by how humans can. I've been trying on both sides to vocalize self-unimportance, yet polyphony in shoes, even while ignoring my navel. Surely the self only exists in relation to an interchangeable other. I was still on the journey when I noticed that I was going in the wrong direction. Thank you. Oh, you're very kind. Back to the collection. This next poem is called 8 Days. And it's about Glasgow, where I'm from. 8 days. Returning to my mother's home, I discover she already knows I am a faggot since she overheard someone say it on the bus with evidence that I didn't want to sleep with a sex worker in Amsterdam. The same route by Stout River, where from the window of a sports car shouts, poof, and to my left, a man sings IRA into tobacco tins. Where the days spent coming down in bed could make up the years between us, and I am sick up things I didn't even know were inside me. Everybody at the pub is talking about their childhood and I have to go. It's like being back in the PE changing room, except we're all adults and the world is burning. I am this person again, incompatible with another, for suppressing the same potential and confronted with it anew at the culmination of a stranger's after-party. I have realized in reverse that she and I both were sad and confused at the same time, just hadn't clocked our act of blurring from and for each other, that I took alone out on myself, so that when the dust is swept away, the broom is put back in the closet. Thank you. This next one's a bit funnier, a bit lighter. It's about a lad's holiday I went on to Malia when I was 17. This is 2K12. Bred a haunting on the Mediterranean, 12 of the whitest boys you ever did see, practically see-through. The fainter the figure, the louder his shriek of epidermis and red-hot intentions never actualized. Ugh. burdened with testosterone, blackout intimacies, with mistaken mouths, the curb a rank cushion of regurgitated denial. Everything your adolescence has led up to, right? Top-heavy exchanges of skin and bravado, at all times 6 inches from an obscene six-pack, my disco fleshiness amplified to ear-splitting. The number of dicks plucked out and wiggled around for a banter of straight eyes. By fortnight's end, we were pulled from the sea with new chins, nevertheless drowning in hormones and a dread not yet medicated, the kind you could drink through. I vomit from the bent of the bottom bunk, and a cockroach paddles in it, gay as you like. Didn't that holiday turn us all? Thank you. Thank you. I'm going to read 2 more. This is called Blue Room, Fake Blue Veins. Again, set in Glasgow, I think, yeah. Blue Room, Fake Blue Veins. Brother, there's so much that I could never say to your face, a mythic thing. Lately, I've been pacing round the analog autumn neither of us existed in. Cuticleless, kicking the same stone up and down the pavement outside tenement buildings. Out of my mind on fortified wine and football scores to hide otherness. The body sexualized as male resists arrest, sinks deeper into cerulean apology. Uranus rains diamonds. Left home, rented a room, spinning with mold, it almost turned me straight. Woke up, gay as ever, on the revolving jail cell floor. Me and my not quite 90 days, still flying from the night before. The crowded urinal made a queer fight club of my positionality. I become my maker in these jazzed falls, staggered the hard shoulder length of a psychiatrist's waiting list, needing for fluids or gender not to drown in, en route to pluck all the hairs from this body and start from scratch. The red light leans so adoringly on self-inflicted traffic and little wrecked childhoods everywhere. I'm in love again. Sorry to romanticize private enterprise, but what is named can be felt. And if we do not take into ourselves, we wither anyway. I need new words to explain the things I'm capable of with my shirt untucked, the things I'm capable of inalienably. I'd it all if I could, my life entirely our own. Thank you. This is my last poem. It's called Devil Works, and maybe I think there's some queer joy in this, so it's a nice place to end. Devil Works. Thank you all for being here and for listening and for having me. It's so nice to be back in Liverpool. Devil Works. In the reptilian squish of this horned skull, the faggotry I once neglected and tangential victimhood I again entertain, coexist, distinct but sensorially linked. Science. Had I further bulldozed both, I could have been the gayest construction worker you ever laid eyes on, all YMCA looking and mid-breakdown. At any rate, I've landed on an alternate form of mimicry, evangelism, decked out like the bent great-grandson of Lucifer, crimson cherub in PVC and knee-highs, divorced from a creator I was groomed to love or be in love with, source of an endless eye roll on behalf of the street preacher, his camp little megaphone calling for my eternal incineration. Religion. Were I devilish enough, I'd mince upon its unorthodox pedestal, sibilanting archaic love and radical acceptance, praise the idiosyncrasy, a blessing, the only kindling in hetero sight, graced by the foil of a nation's communal pipe, held safe by something at least. I had the fire stomped out of me an eternity ago. It wasn't even biblicized. Like our survival, faith is leaving a pleasure path doused in question marks, theology and natural order intersecting with prophetic desire. The devil works hard, but queers work harder. Thank you.
Peter Scalpello! Oh, wow. That just floored me a little bit, that, to be honest. I feel like I'm halfway between really needing a hug and wanting to buy a camp little megaphone. Genuinely, I was like, I need to write that down because I really want one of those for the next Lovely Word. Yeah, so sorry, instead of me rambling on, thank you. Another round of applause for Peter Scalpello! Incredible. If you've enjoyed their work tonight, where can we find you, Peter?
I only have Twitter, and I didn't bring any books with me today, stupidly, but
Do you know what?
Scalpello, book, sir, what did you say? News from nowhere. News from nowhere.
News from Nowhere, Dead Ink Books. You can buy Limbic, that's Peter's collection, or on Twitter, P_Scalpello with an L. Is that right? Yeah. But thank you so much for the round of applause, Peter. Okay, just while I'm up, before we start this second half of Amazing Open Mic Poets, I just want to plug a couple of things again. Once again, we've got the fantastic Alan, who a lot of you might know from Unusual Art Source and Company. Just someone boo. Boo. The villain we all love to hate. Alan and Emma are celebrating the opening of Birkenhead Arts Palace, which is going to be a performance, rehearsal, studio space. It's going to be incredible. And it's in Birkenhead, which is great for Birkenhead because, you know, what have you got, really? There's not much going on. I've got a soft spot for Birkenhead, really. Their launch party is on the 17th of December, so you'll see some of these around. Pick them up, or Alan is around the corner, I believe. Yeah, okay, next up, our fantastic second half opener of the open mic section is Benjamin Albanese. Give it up for Benjamin, keep it going!
Hello. Firstly, I will be performing at the Arts Palace on the opening event, so come to that. I know Halloween's been, but it's still spooky season, isn't it? Like the night's drawing in. I love it. I love this time of year. Everyone's like, oh, the sunshine. I'm like, yes, the moon. So this is Ghost. Something o'clock in the morning. Wake to the glare of the screen's spite again. Didn't finish that thing I started. I need to do it. The list grows a little bit, bleeding itself around my mind. I have to get away. Escape from underneath the weight of my self-inquisition. Upstairs, I grasp at a hope that I can no longer smell on my pillow. bed expanding in every direction, cold oceans of duvet, floating in a space once life-nurturing, turns starless. Curl myself around a speck of dust that may be tomorrow. Where are you now? Where do you hang your skin? Where do you keep your heart? I keep hoping you'll choose to stay. I keep hoping you'll choose to return or just not choose to leave me. Please stop choosing something that hurts you over me, your own pain over my love. I keep waiting for the ghost you bring, but it's too busy reliving its own death. Thank you. So I'll also be performing at the Queer Insight event on Sunday. I struggled to write the poem for it so much. It's like, it's over a week. Like, I feel so sorry for Becky. I literally sent off the final draft of it 2:30 this morning. This is a draft that didn't make it. This is like an alternative version. So I'll read this as a taster for you. This is City Visits Plant Does Not Leave. Knock, knock, knock. We need you to listen. We need your dirt-filled corners collecting the discarded. We need cracked flags fertilized with pigeon shit. We need shelter held in doorways, held in mausoleums, held together. We need congregation, jubilation, elation. We need desire for another, for another. Tear, tear, tear. We don't need your tears. We don't need you to tell us we are unwelcome. We don't need your deluge language sweeping all. We need to drink more than run off, but we will to survive. We need to eat more than precious crumbs, but we will to survive. We need you to carry on walking away without trampling. Thank you. And I have one small happy poem, happy-ish poem to finish on. This is called Bloom. Inside she waits, power held behind dark walls, chilled, numb, knowing she is. Then rain reaching into her cell, whispering spells of unbinding. Bathed in ripples unfurls, heavy sips cleanse, nourish. Then sun, light creeping, kindling fibers, overwhelming need to learn. She reaches, grasping at the promise of a thing she has no word for. Freedom parts her, breaking hurts enough. Strange world outside, space, breathe, drink, expand, body stretching, star-bound, limitless. The secret of her truth buds. She longed to shout her beauty, and now she blooms as sun rays kiss her, and how she shines as moonlight holds her close. Thank you.
Give it up for Benjamin! Amazing stuff. And don't worry, I love a 2:30 inspired poem. It's all good. As long as it's a nice poem and not, I don't know, a tax rebate or something. Or right. Next up, we have the fantastic Leo Welton. Keep it going. Keep it going.
Oh, that's going to fall down if I do that, isn't it? So that'll be all right. Sorry. Sorry. I'm really nervous. Last time I stood here was actually a year ago. So here we go. Actually, just before I read my poem, I'd also like to say thank you to the Queer Insight team for just an amazing course that it's been. So yeah, thanks. And go on Sunday. I might be there, might not, depends. Sometimes. Sometimes I crave for those simple days when my fingertips trace the smooth and rough of the pebbled ash wall. The bell on the shop door tinkles. Paper bag in grubby hand, halfpenny mojos, flying saucers with their sherbet inners, and those funny little pink shrimps. Don't eat them all at once, son. Words that pop and fizz and taste better than any sugary treat. Bark scraping at our knees, hands feeling the way to the highest branch we dare. Two little kids spying out at our kingdom, thick as thieves. Stealing secret glances at the girls below, blissfully unaware of why my eyes are drawn to their form. Careful up there, boys. Words that ascend and take root in my small frame, planting dormant flowers that will wait patiently. Words collected, stored and replayed in my head, the power they carry when I let them dance, a beat that lifts. The sound of my chosen name when it falls from loved ones' lips. 3 boys with open minds from a generation distracted by phones, gifted with language I did not have. My hand searches, soothing through stubble to loosen knots before. Their acceptance shifts layers, a way to explain the unfurling of flowers. Good for you, but can we still call you Mum? Thank you.
Go ahead, Leo! Go ahead, Leo! Ah, 1 whole year, it was worth the wait. Well done. Fantastic. Okay, next up, we've got a cheeky number for you. You may know her as the Queen of Heartbreak. Oh, she's risen! Here she is, it's Eve Harlett!
Hi everyone, hi. Ooh, it's a bit floppy, but I'm used to it. Hi, so I've come today as the gayest car wash you'll ever see. I'm also wearing my slut t-shirt. Thanks Alex for the present. But speaking of being a massive slut, so the other day, I was on Fab Swingers. Does anyone know what that is? Thought I recognised you. So, well, if you don't know, like, Fab Swingers is kind of like a kinky Facebook. But, like, the weirdest part about it is you can leave people, like, TripAdvisor reviews. Like, good in bed, great tits, could have added an extra finger or two. It's one of mine. But so the other day I was on Fab Swingers and someone messaged me and they were like, I've made some sculptures of bums. Can I pay you to piss on them? So obviously I was like, yeah. I need the money. It's a cost of living crisis. So yeah, I was, and then he was like, oh, also, would you mind if I filmed it? And I was like, only if you send me the files on WeTransfer. And it was actually really good. Like, it's the only time that getting bladdered before work isn't taking the piss. But enough of my piss poor puns. Onto the shit show that is my dating life. So I've just written a little thingamy on. Unfortunately, this is based on true events. And disclaimer: she was a massive cunt. It's called Bye Bye, but like bye is spelt differently each. Yeah, never mind. I'm not gay, she says. I'm not even bi. That's an interesting confession to make when your head's between my legs, I say. Her room's a shit tip. I ask for some water and she sighs, stands up, wipes her mouth, and picks up an empty Coke bottle, cuts it in half, fills it up from water from the bathtub. Classy lady. Are you sure you're not trans? She says. There's no way you're a biological woman. I mean, listen to your voice. And is that why you wear wigs? Because women definitely can't be drag queens. I'm pretty sure I'm not, I say. Maybe get back down there and have a closer look. But have you really still not come yet? I've been down there ages. Well, the way I see it, it's about the journey, not the destination. And this journey has been like an Arriva bus to Tuebrook. To Tuebrook, she says. More like to Mordor. More like journey around the centre of the fucking earth. She was cut off by her phone going off. It had been going off all night. And she told me it was her ex, but it turned out to be her current partner. I hear him screaming and crying down the phone, calling her a bitch. I'm not a bitch, she says. She seemed like a bitch. Actually, I think this is my cue to leave. Actually, one of many. Don't call me. I won't call you. Oh, but just before you go, do you know what I've discovered tonight? I think I might be bi. That's interesting, I say, because after tonight, I think I might be straight. Thank you. Just a disclaimer, I'm definitely still not straight. And I'm single-ish. And you can find me on Fab Swingers. Thank you.
Eve Hallett! Oh, I'm always there, like, with my fingers on the edge of the table, like, what's gonna happen? And I'm never disappointed. Right, okay. Next up is the fantastic Ella May Bills! Keep it up!
Hello. I thought to break the ice, I'd start off with a little anecdote, because otherwise this is going to go terribly wrong. So, because obviously it's queer, love that. I wanted to give a little anecdote about when I came out to my mum. So, when I came out to my mum, real quick before I do my poem, one thing that I did receive after I came out to her was a crystal. And my mum isn't technically very, very forgiving of me being queer. But I swear to God, I don't think a crystal was the right thing to give me for being queer after coming out. So yeah, that's about it. So I have no idea what my poem is called, but I hope you enjoy it. So yeah. I thought I wouldn't feel again, that my butterflies morphed into moths, that my stomach wouldn't ache with the impulse to act, but rather finally settle, quietly accepting that feeling of unentanglement. That I wouldn't feel gutted and breathless whilst my heart runs with my head in its hands, or that feeling of tears drying my eyelashes shut. I thought I wouldn't feel again, so, of course, I chose not to feel again. I chose to rationalise the butterflies that swarmed when we first met eyes, my upset stomach washed with white ginger. But it didn't settle. The knots now knock it nauseous, and now I'm wrapped and wired as what-ifs fuel the fire that is suddenly burning me from the inside out. You can see it on my cheek. I want to feel nothing. So why do I feel? Why am I happy that I'm gutted? My head knows there's no chance, so why is my heart placing bets? My feelings are capital in her eyes. She's been saving them for years, keeping them locked in her wardrobes, waiting for her next big investment, praying that these feelings will gain interest. So why do I feel when I know that you don't? My heart is bribing my head, convincing her that her good sense is something that doesn't make any sense. I want reason, but she wants ransom. Your feelings for my freedom, convincing us that you are in debt, but you don't owe me anything. You don't know me or anything that I'm feeling towards you, so I am choosing to change my feelings for thoughts. I'm thinking with my head and not my heart now, and suddenly she's a miser and the exchange rate is high. There are little to no thoughts of you anymore, and I feel robbed. At least I feel. But I don't think I want to again. That's it. Thank you very much.
Give it up. Okay, next up we have the fantastic Claire McGrath. Put your hands together! Sorry, I don't know why I'm shouting at you. Put your hands together! There's a long way to go. Keep it going. Get your feet involved. Get some clicks in. Get some woo-woos. Thank you.
Hello. My God, have I got an anecdote tonight. Basically, I walked out the door, sat on the train and realised I was without my phone. So I've been sat there worrying about my phone. And the person that this poem's based on basically had an acting class over the road tonight. And it was a bit of a showmance. And a workshop I did here last month was starting me off on this journey about writing the poem. So he's Jewish, I'm second generation Irish, and we were in a play, and there was a lot of oranges in it. And there's a lot of confusion over his orientation, which I think maybe was the reason he decided not to come tonight. So who knows? I don't know. So this is just an exploration of that, really. Oranges are not the only fruit. Zesty, fruity, thick peel, but hard to get inside. Smell stays on my fingers for days. Holy Jaffa, chosen people, promised land and stories, persecuted people. You stay on my mind for days. I dissect. I cut every conversation to pieces till my juices flow. I can't help but lick the tracks. I plant the seeds, hoping something will grow from our connection. Haven't you tried lemons? I want to ask you. Bitter. The rind refreshes. Better than drinking salt water of the regret of never even trying. I like both. I think you do too. I wonder why we flirt. We have lovers' tiffs. Why you look at my tits a lot when we speak. Maybe I'm imagining it. I see unreachable loneliness, mournful happiness, conflicting conversations, lingering looks, anxious anticipation, self-consciousness from both of us. I think maybe it's because our ancestors bond us. Maybe that's why we feel the way we do. Strands on a rope full of pain that doesn't belong to us. Anticipation slowly hanging in the air, like a sword of Damocles hanging over our heads. Scholars and saints, diaspora people, lost land and stories, persecuted people. Your smell stays on my fingers for days. I understand your distance. I understand your reluctance. I understand this resistance to fit in, to comply, to conform. Maybe it's emotional more than sexual. Sometimes the LGBTQIA plus ruler means that it means nothing. How can you measure this? What is this? People just love who they love. Labels are sometimes better suited to jars. I want to hold you and tell you it's okay. It's okay to be you in all your complexities. I want you to hold me and tell me it's okay to be me in all my complexities. Oranges are not the only fruit. It's okay to like lemons. It's okay to like both.
Give it up for Claire! Oh, lovely stuff. Alex just turned to me and said, Becky, are we running a circus? And I was like, oh, sorry. Because apparently I'm very manic energy tonight. But what's new? I mean, come on, no, I know he's only joking. Just a quick sidebar before this next performance. A lovely word is a very, very special place in all of our hearts, and this is such a wonderful night to be able to make it queer and part of Homotopia Festival. So can we just please give a big round of applause to the fantastic Alex Ferguson for organising this event. Woo! We're circusing up for you now, baby. Okay, next up, we have the wonderful Harriet Bloomfield. Keep it going!
I'm really nervous. I've never done this before, so... Okay. Right, I've got two. I'll start with the really depressing one. I've got to do a trigger warning of sexual assault. It's called boundaries. I said no, but in your eyes, that's a green light for go. I said no. I love you, you said, as you climbed into my bed, filling me with dread. Manipulation, penetration, degradation. I said no. Smothering me with affection to mask the condescending words spilling out of your narcissistic mouth. You just can't take a joke, you said, twisting the thoughts in my head. Am I being too sensitive? Getting under my skin, you just had to win. I said no. Do you even know the definition of gaslighting? You carelessly said. Again, twisting the thoughts in my head to distort my sense of reality and self-worth. Fuck you. I said no. I said no when you smothered me with love so I couldn't breathe. I said no when you entrapped me with your physical strength so I couldn't move. I said no when your naked body was pressed against mine, sending shudders down my spine. I told you I need time, I need space, but you acted as if it were a race, so you didn't have to face more rejection. I said no. My boundaries were completely ignored. You just kept begging for more for your own self-gratification. The thing is, narcissists don't understand the word no. Luckily, I'm strong enough to let go, and now I can focus on my rebirth and regrow. Here's an invoice from my therapist. It's the least you can do. Thank you. This one's called Evergreen. Autumn leaves, shape-shifting into colourful, crispy, alternative identities, clinging on to their respectful trees. Watch them detach, spiral, and fall as the trees stand tall, empty, bare, and exposed. This is not the life they chose. How are they supposed to know when the leaves are coming back? But they will. They will, and when they do, the cycle will go again and again and again. Funnily enough, this sounds like my intimate relationships with women and men. Something so small grows into something so tall, so full, so vast, I'm convinced it's going to last. But everything moves so fast, and frankly speaking, I'm never prepared for the aftermath. Empty, bare, and exposed. Left with nothing but fragmented memories and the need to make myself whole again. Maybe it's time to relate more to an evergreen, one that keeps its leaves, one that is always a whole tree. But me, I like the change too much. I like feeling the rush of altering emotions and the human touch. The leaves on my tree will never be one colour. It's a blessing and a curse. Thank you.
That was Harriet, everybody! Fantastic! Harriet's first time performing ever. So that's pretty good. Okay, we are finally on to our last poet of the night. I know. It's really sad. But we do have a monthly rolling poetry night with a lovely word. You might have heard of it. But it's here every month, every first Thursday of every month. So we will be back. And obviously we've got the whole of the festival left for the entirety of November up until, well, sorry, not the entirety, up until the 20th of November. And then some recovery time at the end. But yeah, this is our last poet of the night. Please give it up for the beautiful Day Mata!
Yeah. Hello, everyone. You all right? Yeah? Yeah, it's okay if you're not. I've been so sad. And whenever anyone ever says to me, how are you doing? You all right? I'm like, oh, give me that glass. And I'm going to stab myself in the eye with it. So that's how I feel. I don't feel really good. And my poem is gonna probably reflect that. So, but this has been a lovely night, and yeah, so this has got a little bit of joy in it. So I wrote this poem a year ago. I was commissioned to write a piece about there's a house in London called 575 Wandsworth, and this amazing artist from Kenya lived there called Khadambe Asalache, and he was a poet and a novelist, and worked a lot with wood and paint. Literally did lots and lots of amazing work. But the most amazing thing was this house that he left behind to the National Trust. And with his own hands and a knife, he etched into almost every single part of the house drawings of animals, shapes and figures, and it just accumulated over years. And I got to spend the whole day in there. So I took my shoes off and I got into the bed and I was just lying there like, oh my God, what did this man think when he woke up in the morning? And I really got into the spirit of it. So this is the poem that came from it. 2 spears of light shatter on the mantelpiece, melt into pools of sun, adorning each ornament with glow which shadows jump back in respect of. Beauty of wood carved carefully into, special craft of subtracting from the sum of itself to make more of itself. But are these etchings a harm or a healing? Is this temple for purging or prayer? Lucky light, welcomed in by the window to run its glass tongue along the banister, up the stairs. Lucky shadow, beckoned by negative space to cast its hands, tickle the untouched. In this place where breaking built a life that may have sat at this desk with this typewriter, wore this black robe with 5 embroidered lions reared as if away from sudden fire. And outside, a plane passes over 2 tower blocks and washing wafts on the line on a balcony. The tree taller, the air thicker than it was left. And who is this faintly painted man? Who is this falling in a polka dot dress? Is it you, artist? And into whose arms? Clutching the spoke of the chair, I forget where I am, thinking about my friend and a new baby, new life which rose out of her like a bubble, like a thought. Then this slash of sun on my wrist, this memory of blood splashed on ceramic after cutting, after trying my own song in the language of erasure. If only a beam of pine or a clean sheet of paper, but I have since found sanctuary in this body, and you are all welcome to eat and drink and talk, and time will ripen around us like the rings of a tree as we pass love and loss between us, as we count these laugh lines sketched softly into my face.
Demata. Okay, everybody, thank you so much for coming tonight. Just do me a favour, if you're near someone or if you want to give yourself a little hug, just give yourself a little hug after tonight, because I feel like we've all had a lot of emotions and stuff throughout the night. Or is it just me? Maybe, I don't know. I'm feeling a lot. But thank you all so much for being here. A massive thank you to our beautiful Everyman Bar staff. Amazing. Bar is still open, apparently, so get on over there. A massive thank you to Spider Hewitt, who's been doing all of our filming and live streaming tonight. Thank you to all of our open micers, which were Brendan, Curtis, Most Fenston, Georgina Tyson, Cassidy Recoil, Melanie John, John T. Armstrong, B. Jones, Benjamin Albanese, Leo Welton, Eve Howlett, Ella May Birds, Claire McGrath, Dave Matar, Harriet Bloomfield. I've been Becky. This has been Alex. This is a lovely word. Thank you all so much. Enjoy the rest of the festival. Oh, and Peter Scalpello!